Well, hi there.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. It's Tammy and Julie, two psychic moms. We took an unanticipated absent leave of absence.
Yeah.
But we are back. We are back. Just, the family stuff, just drama stuff that is not drama, but just unanticipated things. That's how I can
drama in there too, right?
Sure, why not, right? So, but Tammy and I are back. We hopefully you missed us a little bit.
I know. Thank you, faithful viewers. And yeah, sorry for our absence, but happy belated 2022.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
We never did do our what's new in 22. Ooh,
I know.
I just made that up.
Yeah.
Maybe so we have a question today. We're going to answer that, and then maybe we'll address some things going forward in 2022.
Yeah.
I can, here's what I feel. Here's what I can just tell you off the cuff. It's just chaos. I mean, that's what's new in 22. Nothing and everything. So
yeah,
right?
For a good quarter of the year, I think maybe even again, I always say I don't make predictions, but sometimes I'll just like if there's something I'm kind of picking up or I kind of just look forward. Seeing things might after a few months in, might start settling down a little bit. But
and one thing I can say that I got a drop in a few days back about inflation, and they said it really wasn't going to be long, long-lived. It wasn't going to be a big ongoing months, years problem. So, hi, baby, come here. So more about that next time. We'll talk more about this.
Yeah.
Come on, baby. My cats have been very needy lately. I don't know why.
Well, whenever there's a lot of emotion going around, they, I think they just pick up on that. Well, they do. They do pick up on that tail. I love that.
So,
at some point too, Julie, you'll have to give us a update on Aqua, but that could be.
Can we talk drama there too? Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
If we have time, or later.
Sounds good.
Drama there too. So we want to get to the question first because both Tammy and I have appointments, so we have a limited window right now where we are. So we're going to get to this, and then we'll
tail hugs, the best.
Yes, tail hugs, and so then we'll see what shows up from there. So this is from Daphne, who is just brilliant at asking questions, although they tend to be multi-part. So this one it's a little involved. So we're going to see if we can break it down. All right. So she says, Happy New Year. Thank you for the wonderful messages through 2021. Happy 2022. So she says, may I ask a question on karma? What's the karma for those who take more than their fair share to the point it is stealing from others? And then she gives an example, such as many people of power and money plunder from the public. For example, Zuckerberg buying out preserved Hawaiian lands that are supposed to be protected and from the natives, further restricting the public from enjoying much of the islands. So I didn't know that. And I have a 4-letter word for that starts with K, and it's not duck. And or Nestle stealing millions of gallons of public water for their own profits. Didn't know about that either.
That one I didn't hear about. Yeah.
So she says, what's the karma to taking more than your fair share that shouldn't be where you're taking? So, and then she goes a little bit further. So I'm going to read the whole thing and then we'll come back and sort of break it down. Mm-hmm. She says, in Buddhism, there is a saying that if a person steals $1 from funds meant for the people, this person then owes $1 to everyone who would have benefited from that fund. So stealing $1 of federal money means you owe $1 to every citizen in that country, if only, right? Is this how karma works? So let's start with how karma works. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good place to start.
So I'm going to tell you what I know about it, and then we'll see if my guides or Ellery, sorry, and Tammy wants to add to that, because I'm sure she will have some good insights on that. So when I was beginning this work, what I learned, what I was taught from my guides. So karma, first of all, isn't linear. It's not that's cause and effect. Karma can be spread out. It might be 5 lifetimes before the person is dealing with their karma. Okay. And we don't know how that will play out for somebody. So there, in my viewpoint, I don't worry about karma because it's self-perpetuating, it's self-healing, it's self-regulating, it takes care of itself, right? Then there's justice, which is different, right? I mean, if people are breaking laws, then we need to hold them accountable. Is Zuckerberg breaking laws, buying up the Hawaiian Islands? I don't know, or he doubted, or he wouldn't have been able to do it. Is it despicable in my eyes? Yeah. I mean, and that's where karma will come in to resolve that when it needs to be resolved, depending upon who, if any, he harms. Now, maybe he'll do something with that helps the natives. We don't really know. I don't know. So, so that's the thing about karma. It's self-regulating. We don't have to worry about that. Okay, what do you have to add about karma before I go further into what they?
Yeah, no, I love what you said, Julie. I love what you said. It was really interesting too. Right when you started out, I was getting, I made some notes here just so I wouldn't forget, kind of just that we all decide when to kind of deal with it. It was really interesting because I was getting that just as you were starting. So that was really, that we were really on the same thing, that yeah, I think karma is a real thing. I think it definitely does play a part in our spiritual evolvement and all that good stuff. But it is true that I feel the same way, that the deciding upon when you decide to deal with karma, or maybe make amends, or give back what you took. I think in time it happens when they show me how everything just aligns with what you're learning about maybe in that particular lifetime. So does it show up? I think it's always there. I think it is always there to make a choice with, of when you are going to maybe do something about it. So yeah, to Zuckerberg and like the Hawaiian Islands, I understand that question. And that is because that really has an effect on all the native people, right, that are affected by this, and anybody else who might be affected by it. That becomes a choice in itself, they're saying, to be affected by it or not. So, right. And he may feel like he's affected by it or not. Which would also deal with his own growth. I mean, he could have this like, what? There's nothing wrong with this, or he may have a little bit of that guilt that's sitting there, thinking about that. Surely if he's read up on how people are feeling and gotten feedback, then that's probably in his space, his energy. Once again, it will be his choice and what he decides to do with that. So let's go ahead and break it down. But that I was very much in alignment, or what I'm getting to with what.
And the Hawaiian Islands per se are an incredibly sacred, for lack of a better word, I'll say holy, but highly energetic, historical, sacred place. So they'll do their own thing there. And so we just have to kind of trust that, again, it will take care of itself. Okay, carry on. You were going to something else.
Oh yeah, so no, you were going to say, so if we break down the questions to her question. So if you can read, I'm sorry, I don't have it up in front of me.
That's fine. All right, so, and oh, by the way, I'll just say, I'm sure that list is highly, highly extensive. From our perspective, Daphne. I mean, when we look at justice or injustice, or who has more and who has less, I mean, or who's being cheated, I mean, I'm sure there's a very, very big, long list as we see it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just, I'm still going to call it Facebook. because they can't anyway. So she says, all right, Zuckerberg, okay, or Nestle, blah, blah, blah. What's the karma to taking more than your fair share that shouldn't be for taking? So I think we kind of talked about that a little.
Yeah, I do love that question. I'll speak to that if you don't mind, just for a moment. It's kind of resonating. What's the karma of taking more of your fair share? Yeah, well, we would just, you're right. I mean, we're going to go back to then it's going to be very individual as to how you feel about doing that. If somebody feels very justified in doing that, well, then they don't feel there's any karma that needs to be corrected, or, you know, if there is that feeling of guilt, then yes, you will have opportunity. They said in karma, with karma, how we see it too, is you will always have opportunity presented to you that will be of the like situation that you were in before. And there, again, there lies your choice as to what you're going to be doing with that at that time. That's why it can play out over many, many lifetimes, I think, as we were saying, that it can be, because it's again about your choice. But yeah, there it lies. If something ever does not resonate with us that we have done to somebody else, or we have done in general, generally, if it has not been rectified, I don't know, you know, whatever the right word would be, then generally that does show up in future lifetimes. Should we choose to come in and incarnate again, you will have opportunity of the same sort of thing happening. It can even happen within a lifetime. Certainly, you know, that saying, what goes around comes around kind of idea, right? People have had situations like that where they have done something, and then sure enough, in this same lifetime, they are presented that happens.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why it rings on my computer.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't know. Okay, sorry.
So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, there are people that will deal with it in this lifetime as well. But go ahead, Julie, to more of you, what you wanted to read or touch on there.
I mean, I think she just gives us a lot of examples here, and how, you know, how is it rectified? But the bottom line is, how does karma work? And so I think, let's see if there's any more, because it feels like we've maybe covered that.
Mm-hmm.
So the purpose of karma is to aid you in your evolution, which kind of stands to reason, right? If you're not held, we'll say, accountable, if you're not, then you just don't evolve, right? If there's no consequence for what you do, that impacts people in a negative way, then how can you learn and grow from that, whether it's in this lifetime or several lifetimes to come? And so that is the purpose of karma. It is to resolve So my teacher, my Akashic teacher, she said, she worded it as, it's to resolve judgment. Maybe.
Yeah.
And more, I think, and more. I think I think there's a bigger picture to that. And so, so what Alarie was saying to me is that it is really to aid you in your evolution. And sometimes your evolution is just being awake enough to see that you need to wake up, you know? So it's just another aspect of your humanness and your human lifetimes. And that's why you may have so many incarnations, because there is a lot for you to learn as humans. There is a lot for you to process so that you can grow and evolve into a person of the highest values, and maybe then end your incarnation here on planet Earth, and maybe you incarnate somewhere else as something else. I mean, there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. So, so I think, Daphne, what they're saying to me is, justice and injustice for you plays a very big part in your life, as personally it does for me as well. And everybody handles those things differently. And so what my guides are saying is, if you feel called to participate in something that makes you feel like you're taking steps to rectify these things, then that's part of your evolution and growth, right? It's some people are very called to do that. That's what we have out there with activists. Oh, for goodness sakes. I will have to figure out how that does that on my
There's
computer.
something that's set on something.
It didn't used to do that until
Oh, I
I
know.
updated it, but so be it. There's a computer, right? So so we would say examine your purpose in this picture. And do you feel called to help as and do some activizing?
Activism.
It's not activation, but to be an activist, you know, in some way to, oh my God, can you hear my cat crying? It's incessant. Sorry about that.
No, I heard just a little bit, not much.
Felix. And see if you feel called to participate in something where you volunteer. You know, years and years ago, you're probably too young for this, Daphne, and others maybe, you know, that Greenpeace was very, very big, you know. I kind of don't hear about Greenpeace anymore.
Mm-mm.
They were active in saving our oceans and the species in our oceans. And I'm sure they're still out there in some form or fashion, but you know, that was many, many years ago. And there are other organizations that have taken their place. And so do your research. Maybe for some reason the ACLU comes up, but I don't know that that's the right place to look for how to spend your, you know, how to get involved in activism. But we think that may be something that really speaks to you, Daphne. So you might want to look at that. We do know, and sort of to finish up on the karma theme here, that
I have one other statement on that too, right, when you're done, just one other.
keep rolling. We'll just keep rolling with it until we feel empty. Oh, I forgot now. Huh. Oh, just that you don't have to worry about, will it be taken care of? Will there be resolution and punishment and accountability and justice for these things that seem so unjust? There are so many in your world that are like that, and that perpetuate this theme. And it has gotten worse over the years, especially in your country, but worldwide. And so they will be held accountable at some point.
Mhm.
They, you know, it's not up to you, it's not up to us to figure out what that is.
Right, well said, yeah. And yeah, just to what you said just on that, there will come a place in everybody's soul evolution, we'll say, where they will want to make amends with some of the things that they feel, you know, they didn't. Just one other thing I gotten, just, it's a very small statement, but just when we asked about kind of that question again, about karma or whatever it was, but they just said, you know, they said you will sit with your own karma and decide when and where to play it out. Basically, that's kind of what I was getting as a summary.
Consciously or in the non-physical, or when you incarnate again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but great question. Thank you, Daphne, for
I know,
that.
Daphne, your questions are just very thought-provoking and amazing. So we appreciate that. So I'm gonna segue a little bit into something, and maybe this will bring up more questions for our viewers. So I'm not going to get into how this happened, but somebody gifted me some books on near-death experiences and channeling, and so the channeling book none of it was really new for me, but which was good to know, or at least I haven't gotten to any parts that were new to me, but it's interesting, you know, it validates it validates my experience of channeling. And so, so I've been reading this book on near-death experiences that this doctor wrote. It's called, I think it's called After. I should just go get it and show it to you, but it's fascinating. And so that really can tie in with karma. And the part I was reading just recently was about what happened to a lot of these people. He did a tremendous amount of research. He started a foundation 45 years ago. I mean, it's a very this guy did a lot of comprehensive. Felix.
I thought it was mine.
Oh, he's so needy today.
Oh.
So he did and he has a lot of comprehensive work, and he wrote a book. And so in this book is where he describes a lot of the experiences. Come on, honey, please give me a break. Come on. So what he was talking about in the last part that I read was about how these people, oh God, this is fascinating. I'm trying to remember. How people had a life review, which I'd heard before too, but it was interesting to hear it from all these other experiencers and what their experience was, and how time worked for them when they had these experiences. Because for a lot of these people who had these accidents that led to their near-death experience, they they noticed how their thought processes, their thinking, their reasoning got ultra focused and clear, and became highly, it became very rapid. In other words, much more rapid than our everyday thought process. And as I was reading that, I heard, well, of course it would. You have to deal with making decisions in a split second. So time is parsed. Okay, this is what they're telling me. Time is parsed so that you have those moments to decide how you want to handle certain things when because it isn't your time to go. And so time slows down, or you stretch it out and expand it, and then your ability through your brain and your consciousness speed up so that you can go through and handle whatever it is that you need to do to have the experience that you need or want on the other side of the near-death experience or the accident or the trauma. And it was like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it was really interesting. So if you have more questions, and if your guides want to chime in on any of that, please feel free. I just wanted to say, if you have any questions about that, or if that leads to any questions, please ask us about them. It's a fascinating topic. So what came up for you, if anything?
Just what I hear right now is just near-death experiencers are creating exactly that experience. That they want that experience in this lifetime even. So we might think, you know, like, oh gosh, I wouldn't want to have a near-death experience. That means I almost died, you know. But they're saying the experience in itself was something of interest to you coming into this lifetime, and, you know, was decided upon, they're saying. So, because that can even be an experience in itself as it is, right? It really expands. Everybody starts thinking about it and what does it mean? And there's been books written about it, and people, you know, looking into it, rightfully so. It's, you know, it's pretty fascinating. So yeah, but they said usually those people, that was something I will say, you know, sort of contracted, or, you know, before coming into this lifetime. So.
Definitely. It again, an evolutionary opening for someone, right?
Yeah.
We learn, we evolve in many, 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 many different ways.
Right.
And of the events that I've read so far in this book, I'm not very far, all of them, I don't want to say culminated, but culminated or resulted in positive outcomes and growth for those individuals.
Exactly.
So it's again a form of evolution, and yes, you definitely contracted to have that. Yeah.
It's kind of a deep, quick jump into,
Yes.
you know, a
Fun, right?
growth spurt is what they're telling me, when that kind of thing happens, right? I mean, because it's,
I'll tell you, when one of my professions many years ago, I worked at a bank. I worked at a few banks, but I was a teller, and then I was like the head teller, the vault teller, and I was responsible for a lot of money moving, from from the vault to the other tellers. And anyway, I kind of was responsible for the flow of the cash to the other tellers, so to speak. So one day we're in the bank, and for years I worked at Bank of America, and they would show these training videos once a month about how to handle robberies if you are ever in one. And Bank of America, you would get, some branches would just get robbed regularly. And it never happened to me in the years that I worked at B of A. But when I went to a small bank, which they eventually nicknamed Stop and Rob,
oh my gosh.
it happened a lot at that bank.
Wow.
I was standing at the counter, and I was counting money, and I didn't have a customer in front of me, and these two guys burst in. And this was the second time. The first time they came in, I was in the lunchroom, and that's another whole story. So all I ever did was hear the robbery happen, and it was what's called a takeover, where they come in and it's rather than hand a note to the individual teller, they take over the whole branch. And so they came back the second time, as they had been practicing, apparently. And one guy stood really across from me, maybe about 12 to 15 feet, with a stocking, like a pantyhose stocking over his head, and a gun pointed down the length of the bank. And of course, my training kicked in, because I'd had it for years, and I literally took the money that was there and I threw it in the trash. But the point of the story is that I had one of those moments of your life flashing before your eyes.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, that's really kind of what happened. I mean, I was talking to myself, all of it in a split second, all these things went through my head. And so it really, time, it in a way really does slow, or in your mind does speed up to accommodate whatever's happening.
Yeah.
Or your perception of time slows. Time doesn't really slow. But
Yeah.
it was a fascinating experience.
Wow.
One I didn't ever want to repeat, but
Wow. Did they ever get, I hope were they able to get that guy, or?
oh yeah, these guys had the FBI was like, oh, they have, rap sheet the length of my arm. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But
Thankfully.
I
Yeah.
had PTSD for many years after it.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. That's a frightening thing, because that's it. Everybody in there is thinking the same thing at that one time, that their life is at stake now. They don't know what's going to happen to them. And that's traumatic.
It
Absolutely
indeed it is.
traumatic.
So you can only imagine. I mean, if you, I'm sure we've all fallen down at some point, and when you do, it feels very slow motion,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And even though it isn't, I was out walking with my friend not that long ago, and I was talking to her, and in a split second, she was on the ground. And I'm like, like I turned around and I had to look, because she was there,
Yeah.
and then she wasn't. And I mean, literally, it was a fraction of a second, like intense,
Wow. Yeah.
And then she got up and she said that, it's so always so weird, because it's like slow motion. And I'm like, I can tell you it wasn't, you were there and you weren't. But that's what happens to our perception.
Exactly.
It's just fascinating how our brain works. So
Yeah. No, it is. It absolutely is. Right.
all right.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm okay. I'm glad that you're okay and everybody was okay in that situation.
Yeah, nobody hurt, thankfully,
Yeah.
but a lot of people left.
Yeah.
A lot of employees left.
And they're like, okay, done with this line of business.
I wasn't one of them at that time, but
And
yeah.
it is just along the ideas of people robbing banks. I've said so many times, like, does this really still happen? Sometimes I'm like, how does that still happen? That somebody is able to go into a bank and rob a bank. And I mean, I know there's answers for that, of how that actually happens. That it is interesting because that one, when I hear about a bank robbed, I'm like scratching my head again, like, how do they do this still and
Well,
get away with it? Some of them.
I think the thing is they ultimately they don't get away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You
That's
know,
right.
they just don't. It's
Yeah.
and you know, there's a lot
Desperation at its best, not best, but I mean, you know what I mean.
although I have you ever seen the movie, and then we're going to wrap here, but there's a movie called Fun with Dick and Jane.
I've heard of it. I don't remember exactly.
Tia, no, oh my God, I can't remember her name. Or his at this moment.
Yeah, I should
God,
know the title, but I can't see anything beyond that. Like,
I can see their faces. Anyway, if you look at Fun with Dick and Jane, it's kind of about the dot-com bust era and how they lose everything and the lengths they go to make money. And some of them are robbing stores and they put on these, and I mean, it's all in fun and jest, and there's accountability at the end. And it's great. Alec Baldwin is the bad boss in this. And it's really quite fun. So that made me think of that. But yeah, people still do it. But I think more these days, Tammy, they're doing the the scamming stuff.
yes, exactly.
Because nobody
Right.
has to get hurt that way, and they make
Right.
probably a lot more money.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, sadly. So
Yeah.
okay, so that's our wrap for Two Psychic Moms. Anything else
Yeah.
you want to add for today, Tammy?
You know, Kim, getting each time that you think about something that's upsetting to you, please know that there is a time and place for this. And with that moment comes another moment where you will be in a place of, there's show me sunshine and happiness and feeling at peace. So to be patient during the times that feel very difficult, very challenging, because on the other side of that is a new beginning, is a new day. And knowing that helps you to go there, show me the turbulence of getting through what you are now challenged with. You've had many instances like that. They said you've had many experiences like that before, and yet you can also recall the very beautiful things in your life as well. So hang in there. This is what life is about. I'm saying this is your journey to have the bumpy ride now and then, where there is growth, where there is potential growth, and always something positive from it, from a spiritual perspective. And you will be able to rejoice and bask in that sunshine. Now they're showing me, this kind of thing in the hammock, enjoying that. So hang in there. That's what I'm hearing.
Beautiful.
Okay.
My guides were saying that hope is your most powerful tool to combat disappointment or whatever those negative feelings are. There's a lot of them. Despair. Hope is your most powerful tool to combat that. So find it, create it, make it up.
Hang on to it for sure.
Because the most interesting thing is nothing stays the same.
Yeah,
You're
right.
guaranteed that something will change.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so
Right.
much. Thank you for the great questions, Daphne.
Thank you.
Keep them coming, and we are back, and we will see you next week. Oh, I didn't even say the date today. It's Tuesday, January 18th. See what happens when you're gone for a couple of weeks? You forget your routine.
Time, again, it's all about perception. Time, it's been flying for me. So I can't believe it's January 18th already. Oh my gosh.
Right.
So yeah, we'll be back. And thanks for your patience, and appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Love you. Much love for you. So
Yeah.
see you soon.
Bye-bye.